Good afternoon, all. I'm Amit Kumar Shinde. I welcome you all for this today's session, which will be based on age hardening or precipitation hardening. Now, in this age hardening or precipitation hardening, we are going to discuss what is the meaning of age hardening or precipitation hardening. And it's some example, practical examples, alloys which shows the age hardening or precipitation hardening phenomenon. Then what are the basic conditions that should be satisfied by an alloy to show this age hardening or precipitation hardening. Then after that, we are going to discuss the steps involved in the age hardening or precipitation hardening, general steps involved in age hardening or precipitation hardening. And then in that, during the last step, that is the aging, natural aging and artificial aging is there. And in artificial aging, some phenomenon of or kinetics of the precipitation is there, and it is subjected or it is affected by certain parameters, and that parameters, four parameters are there which will affect the kinetics of the precipitation. That parameters we are going to discuss in brief, and all this we will discuss with some practical examples. Now we will start with this. What is the meaning of age hardening or precipitation hardening? Now, the some alloys, okay, some alloys will show the increase in hardness at room temperature as time is passing away. Okay, with time, some alloys will show the increase in temperature. Sorry, increase in their hardness at room temperature, or some alloys will show the increase in hardness with time at room temp at slightly heating above the room temperatures. Yeah, this phenomenon is termed as age hardening or precipitation hardening. I will repeat it again. Some alloys shows increase in hardness with time at room temperature, or some alloys will show the increase in hardness with time after slightly heating to the higher temperatures. This phenomenon is termed as age hardening or precipitation hardening. Now, this phenomenon is generally occurring in a few alloys, and that examples are aluminum and copper alloy. Aluminum will be base metal or parent metal, and 4.5% copper. Copper will act as an alloying element. Then another aluminum alloy which shows the age hardening or precipitation hardening is aluminum, which contains 6% zinc and 2.5% magnesium. Okay, this alloy will also show the age hardening or precipitation hardening. Then copper with 2% beryllium. This is nothing but the beryllium bronze. Okay, in this beryllium bronze, the age hardening or precipitation hardening will occur. Then the nickel alloy containing 17% copper and 8% tin. Then titanium alloy with 6% aluminum and 4% vanadium. Number of examples are there that alloys will show you the age hardening or precipitation hardening. Now, to for the occurrence of this age hardening or precipitation hardening, a alloy system should satisfy two conditions. Okay, condition for age hardening or precipitation hardening to occur in any alloy system are like this: the solubility of solute in the solvent must decrease with the decrease in temperature. Okay, whichever solute is there, its solubility in the solvent, it should decrease with decrease in temperature. Like you can take the example of this copper and beryllium. Okay, copper and beryllium. Here I will show you the equilibrium diagram of this beryllium bronze. From that you can clearly understand. Okay, okay, here this is the copper beryllium equilibrium diagram. Okay, means this is an alloy of copper and beryllium, where beryllium is the alloying element and copper is the parent metal or base metal. Now here you can clearly see that solubility of beryllium, okay, solubility of beryllium, it is shown on the x-axis. Now here at this point, you can clearly see At 864 degrees Celsius, its solubility is 2.1, and solubility of beryllium decreases as temperature is decreasing. Okay, when temperature falls to 575, the solubility becomes 1.4, and again with the drop in the temperature, that solubility limit is decreasing. Now the alloys containing the beryllium in between the range, copper alloys containing beryllium in the range 1.5 to 2%, they will show this, or they satisfies this condition. This is the initial condition. The solubility of the solute in the solvent will decrease with decrease in temperature. And here you can refer this example of copper and beryllium alloy. Solubility of beryllium in copper will decrease from 2.1 at 864 degrees Celsius to 1.4 at 575 degrees Celsius. First condition is satisfied. And then after this, the second condition in this age hardening or precipitation hardening required is the precipitate. Okay, whichever precipitate is separating out from that matrix or from that alloy, it should be coherent. Okay, it should be coherent. Now, what is the meaning of this coherent precipitate? Coherent precipitate means whichever solute atoms are there. Okay, here I have added that in the note. Coherent precipitation means that solute atom concentrate to a degree sufficient to give the composition of second phase or new phase. This will be termed as coherent precipitate. Okay, I will summarize it, or I will explain it again. The solute atom will concentrate, or they will segregate, and they will give rise to a new phase or second phase. That precipitate, whichever precipitates are separating, and they come together and they will form a new phase or a second phase, that will be termed as coherent precipitate. And if this condition is satisfied by that alloy, then the age hardening or precipitation hardening will occur. Means if you keep that that alloy at the room temperature also, then as time is passing away, the hardness of that alloy will increase. Slowly it will increase with the time. This will be termed as age hardening or precipitation hardening. And for occurrence of this age hardening, these two conditions are there. That is, solubility of solute in the solvent must decrease with decrease in temperature. And second condition is that the precipitate that separates out from the matrix, it should be coherent. Okay, it should be coherent means whichever precipitate is separating, they should come together and they should give rise to a new phase. In this way, these two conditions are required for occurrence of this age hardening or precipitation hardening. Now there are few examples of the alloys which satisfies the first condition. Okay, that is, solubility of solute in the solvent decreases with decrease in temperature, but they does not satisfy the second conditions. That is, whichever precipitates or particles are separating out, okay, whichever precipitates are separating out, they does not form a second phase or new phase. And this type of phenomenon is occurred in aluminum magnesium alloys, in aluminum manganese alloy, and in magnesium lead alloys. Okay, sometimes these type of questions may be asked in the competitive examination. Okay, why aluminum magnesium alloys or aluminum manganese alloys or magnesium lead alloys does not shows age hardening or precipitation hardening? And they will provide you different reasons. Okay, first reason will be solubility of solute in the solvent decreases with decrease in temperature, or okay, or increases with increase in temperature. And then precipitate is coherent or precipitate is incoherent. Like this, different options will be there. Your correct option will be the precipitates that separates out is incoherent. Means whichever precipitations or particles are separating out, they does not give rise to second phase. Okay, and in short, you can say that precipitate is not coherent or precipitate is incoherent. That is the reason because of which aluminum magnesium alloys, then aluminum manganese alloys, and magnesium lead alloys, they satisfy, even though they are satisfying the first condition, that is solubility of solute, that is solubility of, supposing ALMG system, solubility of magnesium in aluminum decreases with decrease in temperature. They satisfy first condition, but whichever precipitations or particles are separating out, they are unable to form the second phase. That's why we can say that whichever precipitates are separating out, that are incoherent in nature. So these are the reasons behind it. Now we will move towards the next part, that are the general steps in age hardening or precipitation hardening. And related to that, I have added this slide here. You can refer the PPT slides. Now in that, the first stage is heating, that will be termed as solutionizing or homogenization. Okay. Now in this first stage, okay, now the next point is general steps in age hardening or precipitation hardening. There are three steps in age hardening or precipitation hardening. First step is heating, then the second step is quenching, and third step is aging. Now, the first stage is heating, and this heating stage is also known as solutionizing stage or homogenization stage. Now, what we are doing in this heating stage, whichever alloy is there, now this alloy is heated in a temperature zone, and that temperature zone should lie above the solvus line and below the eutectic transformation temperature line. And as here I have shown one equilibrium diagram where I have marked this temperature. Okay, heating temperature zone. This is the heating temperature zone, and it should be above the solvus line. This line, this inclined line, you can see, or this curved line is the solvus line, and this is your eutectic temperature line, this horizontal line. Okay, at this temperature, eutectic transformation is occurring, and this is the solvus line. Now you have to heat the alloy above solvus line temperature and below eutectic transformation temperature. Here I have marked that by a temperature indicating by point T. Why we are choosing this zone only? Here our aim is to get the single phase, okay, single phase solid solution structure. Now, if you heat that particular alloy above solvus line and below eutectic temperature, in that zone, we will end up with getting a single phase structure or single phase solid solution. And now at this particular temperature, you have to held. Now that alloy is held at this particular temperature for sufficient period of time. Now, why we are holding at this temperature for a definite period of time? Because it will take some time to get the same phase. Okay, same. Suppose here in this region, we are having alpha phase. Now to get the alpha phase from the center of that alloy up to the top surface, means throughout a single phase should be there. To get this or to achieve this, we have to hold that alloy at this temperature T for a definite or sufficient period of time. And after giving some time, we will get the homogeneous structure throughout that material. Only single phase will be there. And here I have shown you one diagram, or which is visible on your screen. In this case, you can see that after sufficient amount of heating and holding at that particular temperature, we will get the alpha phase. That homogeneous phase will be obtained, and hence this step is also known as homogenization, because we are obtaining the material having the same structure throughout. Uniform phase will be there. That's why this stage is termed as homogenization. And during this heating, we are obtaining the single phase solution. Hence, this phase is also named as solutionizing. Okay, this is the first stage, that is the heating. And here you can also find that the alloy, by referring this equilibrium diagram, this alloy is satisfying our first condition, that is it shows the solubility of the solute in the solvent is decreasing with decreasing temperature. This type of curve will be there. At higher temperature solubility is more, and at lower temperature solubility of alloying element in the solvent is less. Okay, first condition is also satisfied. And we are doing the heating, and this is also termed as solutionizing or homogenization. And heating temperature zone is above solvus line and below the eutectic transformation temperature line, so that we will obtain the uniform single phase structure. Hence this phase is also termed as solutionizing or homogenization. So after doing this phase, completing this stage, the second stage is quenching. Okay, in the second stage, we are cooling the alloy from the higher temperature zone, which we have used in the heating, and we are cooling that alloy rapidly to the room temperature in the water medium. Okay, to obtain a super saturated solid solution. Okay, super saturated solid solution is obtained. Why super saturated solid solution is obtained here? Because of a rapid cooling, it will, we are obtaining here super saturated solid solution. Okay, if suppose here alpha phase is there, then after quenching, whichever phase is obtained, it will be indicated by alpha dash. Okay, now after quenching, if you keep that alloy at a room temperature for longer period of time, then slowly increase in hardness will occur. Okay, and before keeping it, sometimes you have to go for some cold working of that alloy also. Slowly some cold working can be done depending on our need. Okay, the alloy is in solid you can say that solid solution treated condition with hardness relatively low as compared to the annealing process, but higher than the slowly cooled condition. Now here just one point you have to remember: we are in the quenching method. After sufficient amount of heating, we are taking that alloy and we are cooling it with rapid cooling rate using the water medium, and we will obtain the super saturated solid solution. Then the next stage, and now we are obtaining the super saturated solid solution, and this alloy will show you the hardness, and that hardness may be low if you compare it with the other heat treatment processes. Uh, Now the third step, hence it required some third step, and that third stage is aging. Okay, now this aging will occur in two different ways, or there are two types of the aging. Okay, now in some alloys, the whichever solution treated alloy we have obtained in the quenching or after quenching, it shows the increase in hardness with time. Okay, as time is passing away, if you took its reading related to the hardness, if you measure the hardness, you will find that as time is passing away, even though at the room temperature conditions, the hardness is gradually increasing, And this type of increase in hardness at room temperature with time is termed as natural aging. Okay, it is termed as natural aging. And in some alloys, okay, in some alloys, increase in hardness is not with the appreciable rate at the room temperature. Hence, that alloys we are heating them at a certain higher range of temperatures, or we are aging them at elevated temperatures. And why we are doing the heating? It will why we are heating them? Due to the heat, the increase in kinetics of precipitation will occur. Okay, and due to that precipitation, they will give rise to the second phase or new phase, and it will result in the increase in the hardness. This type of aging, which is triggered by the providing them heat or heating them at the slightly higher temperature zones, this type of aging will be termed as artificial aging. Okay, this type of aging will be termed as artificial aging. And why we are doing this artificial aging? Because in some alloys, increase in hardness does not occurs with appreciable rate at room temperature. Hence, these alloys are aged at elevated temperatures or higher temperatures to increase the kinetics of precipitation, and this will be termed as artificial aging. Now, this artificial aging is done at a particular temperature zone, and that particular zone or that aging temperature, for calculating that aging temperature, you have to take into consideration the solutionizing temperature. Okay, you have to take into consideration solutionizing temperature and room temperature. Okay, you have to take the difference of room temperature and solutionizing temperature, and whichever value comes out, 15 to 25% of that value will be considered as aging temperature. Okay, what is the aging temperature? 15 to 25% of temperature difference between solutionizing temperature and room temperature, that will be taken as aging temperature. Okay, the aging temperature is roughly between 15 to 25% of the temperature difference of room temperature and solutionizing temperature. Okay, so this is the aging temperature. At this temperature zone, you have to heat that alloy. Again, we are heating it after doing the initial heating, quenching, and again we are doing the heating for triggering their kinetics of precipitation. This will be termed as artificial aging. Now, while doing the artificial aging, proper care must be taken, because if you do the over aging, it will result in the decrease in the hardness. Okay, over aging will reduce the hardness. Hence, when you obtain the optimum amount of hardness or optimum value of the hardness, then you have to stop this artificial aging. Okay, now the curve here during the artificial aging or natural aging, a curve is obtained by plotting the hardness as a function of time. Okay, and this curve, which is visible on your screen, this curve is termed as aging curve. A typical curve for an age hardening of an alloy, or this curve is termed as aging curve. Okay, initially means after heating and quenching this initial, after that aging will start. As natural aging means as time is passing away, we have just kept that alloy at room temperature. As time is passing away, here you can find that hardness increases. Okay, hardness increases. This is termed as age hardening. Okay, as its age is increasing or time is passing away, hardness is increasing. This is age hardening or precipitation hardening. Now this is the theoretical curve. Okay, this is whichever curve is visible on your screen. This is a theoretical curve. In actual practice or in actual practical work, we are not getting this single maxima. Okay, here we are observing only a single maximum, that is only one peak of hardness value. But in actual practice, you will get number of maximas. Okay, means it will come down and again it will increase, again it will come down like this. Number of maximas will be there, and this formation of number of maximum values of hardness are due to two reasons. Okay, in reality, the aging curve is not smooth. It shows more than one maxima, that is more than one values of higher hardness, and that is due to two reasons. The first reason is due to formation of intermediate precipitations or intermediate particles. Okay, due to formation of intermediate particles, and these intermediate precipitations are termed as GP zones. Okay, GP zones or Guianier-Preston zones. Okay, due to them, due to presence of these GP zones, these are having higher hardness values, then they will show you the higher hardness. Okay, this is the first reason. Because of this, the aging curve shows more than one maxima. The first reason is the existence of intermediate precipitations, which are termed as GP zones, and that long form for it is Guianier-Preston zones. Then the second reason for the occurrence of more than one maxima is heterogeneous precipitations. Okay, heterogeneous precipitations. Now, what is the meaning of heterogeneous precipitation? The precipitation does not occur at the same rate throughout the entire solid solution. Okay, if you refer the solid solution, then at the grain boundaries, whichever solid solution is there, in that it has some grains at the grain boundaries. Okay, the precipitation starts at grain boundaries first, and it completes first at the grain boundaries. Due to this, the precipitation or particles at the grain boundaries are different, and they will show you the different hardness. Then precipitation in the remaining region will occur with the different rate. Then they will show you the precipitations at different rates or different stages of time. Hence, the more maximas will be there. Okay, due to heterogeneous precipitation separation times will be different. Hence, the more maximas will be there. Okay, so these are two reasons why more than one maximas are there. Okay, in this curve, only one maximum hardness value is shown. But due to presence of Guianier-Preston zones or due to heterogeneous precipitation, more than one maximas will be there. Okay, this will come down and again it will increase like this. More than one maximas will be there due to these two reasons. Okay, so these are three stages in the or steps in the age hardening or precipitation hardening, namely heating or solutionizing. And the second stage is quenching, and third stage is aging. And this aging may occur in two ways, that is natural aging and artificial aging. In artificial aging, by heating that alloy to the elevated temperatures or higher temperatures, we are triggering the kinetics of precipitation, which will result in increased hardness. So after this, after discussing the general steps in the age hardening or precipitation hardening, here in the artificial aging, we have discussed the kinetics of precipitation. Okay, means we are doing the heating in the temperature zone. Okay, by taking the temperature difference of solutionizing temperature and room temperature, and whichever value we are getting, the aging temperature will be 15 to 25% of that value. Now, there are certain factors in this artificial aging that will affect the kinetics of aging. Okay, four factors are there. And what is the effect of that 4 factors on the kinetics of aging process, that we will discuss. 4 factors are there. The first factor which will affect the kinetics of aging process is the temperature of aging. Then the second factor is cold working on solid solution, supersaturated solution. Then the alloy composition, whichever alloy composition we are using in that age hardening or precipitation hardening method. Then impurity and homogeneity of that alloy. These are 4 factors that will affect the hardness value or kinetics of aging process. It will affect kinetics of aging process means indirectly it will affect the hardness of that alloy. Okay, now one by one we will discuss. The first factor is temperature of aging. Okay, now here in this diagram itself, you can clearly see the effect of aging temperature on the peak hardness. Okay, the peak hardness, this is the peak. For suppose this is the, here the graph is shown or diagram is shown for by taking 3 different temperature conditions, that is T1, T2 and T3 temperatures, and this T3 is the highest temperature. Okay, T1 is the lowest, you can see here. T1, T2 and T3, they are in temperature ranges in increasing order. And for these 3 values of temperatures, we have plotted this aging curve togetherly, and you can find that the peak hardness and the time required to reach that peak hardness. Okay, this is the peak hardness value. From y-axis you will get that, and time required to reach that peak value. Okay, both these values are decreasing. Okay, peak hardness value and time required to reach that peak hardness value, both these values are decreasing with increasing temperature. You can see here, and due to this you can say that the maximum or peak hardness is obtained at T1 temperature, but to obtain that peak hardness it requires more time. Okay, and with least possible time, with minimum time, the hardness is obtained, maximum hardness value is obtained in T3 temperature. Okay, that is the highest temperature. So in this way, the peak hardness, this peak hardness and time required to obtain that peak hardness or to reach that peak hardness both decreases with increasing temperature of aging. Okay, as the temperature of aging is increasing, temperature is increasing, you will find that you will obtain the peak hardness value with minimum time, with lesser time, but that value is also decreasing. Okay, hardness value is little bit on lower sides. So this is the effect of temperature of aging on the hardness. Then the second parameter is cold working of that super saturated solid solution. Okay, in the second stage we have discussed this in the steps involved in the age hardening or precipitation hardening. Initially we are doing heating and we are doing the quenching. And after the quenching, by cooling the alloy in the from high temperature to the room temperature in the water, we have obtained super saturated solid solution. Okay, now that on that super saturated solid solution or that alloy, we are doing some cold working operation. Okay, now here we can do the cold working, or we here to plot this effect, to understand the effect of cold working process on the hardness value. We have considered 3 different conditions. The first condition is we have considered the alloy without any cold working, and it is shown by the curve A. Then we have considered an alloy with intermediate cold working. Okay, means intermediate cold working. Some cold working operation is performed, but not at the higher degrees. And the third sample, that is sample C, with high degree of cold working. Okay, these three different samples are there, A, B, C. A sample without cold working, then B sample with intermediate or slight cold working, and C sample with high degree of cold working. Then after plotting the aging curve, you will find that effect of this cold working on the hardness value, and you can say that, or your result or conclusion will be like this. The peak hardness value, okay, this peak hardness value, you can compare these curves. Peak hardness value increases, okay, as we are increasing the degree of cold working from A, B, C. Here C is high degree of cold working and hardness is more, then you can conclude that as we are increasing the degree of cold working, hardness value increases, and as we are increasing the degree of cold working, time to reach the peak hardness, it decreases. Okay, so this is the conclusion. It is the peak hardness value increases and time to reach the peak hardness value decreases with increase in degree of cold working. Okay, hence the alloy on which high degree of cold working is performed, that is alloy sample C, it shows highest hardness value with minimum time. Okay, with minimum time, here you can see the minimum time and highest or peak hardness value is obtained in this alloy. So this is the second factor that influences or affects the kinetics of aging process, that is the cold working of the supersaturated solid solution or cold working of that solid solution, which is obtained after heating and quenching process. And then the third factor is the alloy composition. Okay, now here again we have considered, to understand the effect of alloy composition, we have considered three different samples. The first are three different samples of the alloy. The sample A, the alloy composition to less than solubility limit. Then alloy composition, that is B, with solubility limit near content of the solute near to its solubility limit. Then the third alloy containing the alloying element percentage more than the solubility. Okay, in this way, three samples are considered to understand the effect of alloy composition on aging curve, that is on its hardness value. Three different samples: alloy A, which contains the percentage of alloying element or solute less than its solubility limit. Then sample B, containing the percentage of alloying element very near to the solubility limit, and sample C, which contains the alloying element percentage far more than the solubility limit in the sample C. And if you observe their age hardening phenomenon, then you will end up with this curve. This is the aging curve, togetherly showing A, B, and C sample, and you can conclude that the alloy which is having the B sample, you can clearly see here B sample, it shows the highest hardness or peak hardness value more or higher than other two samples, and this peak hardness is achieved with the minimum time also for this B sample. So from this diagram we can conclude that to get more peak hardness value, the solute composition should not be too less. Okay, it should not be too less, and also it should not exceed the solubility limit. It should be very near to the solubility limit of that alloying element in the solvent to get the maximum hardness with minimum time. Okay, so this can be observed or this can be understood easily from this graph, and in this way the alloy composition also affects the peak hardness value and time required to reach the peak hardness value. To obtain maximum peak hardness value with minimum possible time, the alloy composition, you have to take the alloying element percentage very near to its solubility limit in the solvent. Okay, so this is the conclusion from this third factor. Then the fourth factor that will influence the kinetics of aging, and indirectly it will affect the hardness of that alloy. The fourth factor is impurity and homogeneity. Okay, now what is the effect of this impurities and homogeneity? Means a alloy, suppose it is non-homogeneous, means it is throughout its composition is not uniform at a particular spot. Suppose aluminium and copper system is there, at some spot aluminium and aluminium is there with 4.5% copper, and if another area it is 4.5% copper and some iron and other alloying elements are there, means non-homogeneity in the composition, or some impurities are there, some amount of sulfur or phosphorus is there. Then what will happen, due to impurities and the non-homogeneity of the alloy composition, what will happen, it will decrease the response to the precipitation hardening. It will decrease the response to the precipitation hardening, or directly you can say that it decreases the peak hardness value. Peak hardness value decreases, and also the time required to reach the peak hardness value increases. Okay, this can be observed from these various curves here shown. These are different aging curves shown for different compositions. Clearly you can see here. Okay, alloy with aluminum and copper, alloy with 4.5% copper, it shows maximum or peak hardness is obtained, maximum hardness is shown here with minimum time. Okay, as the some impurities or some other alloying element increases, its percentage increases, the peak hardness value is decreasing, and time required is also increasing to get that peak hardness value. Okay, if you see this 3% copper, lower hardness values, if you refer this curve, 4.5% copper and 1% iron, less peak hardness value and more time is taken. Okay, in this way, if impurities and are increasing in an alloy, and that composition in the alloy is becoming non-homogeneous, then what will happen, it decreases the peak hardness value and increases the time required to achieve that peak hardness value. So in this way, these are the four factors that we have discussed here. It will affect the kinetics of aging, means directly indirectly it will affect the hardness value of that alloy as time is passing away. Okay, with time, what is the effect of uh, the on the hardening of that particular alloy? We have discussed that. Okay, in this way, these are the four factors. Okay, these are the four factors that will influence or affect the kinetics of aging. That is temperature of aging, then cold working of supersaturated solid solution, then the alloy composition. Here in case this alloy composition we have considered related to the alloying element percentage only, and here we are considering the overall composition of the alloy, means other impurities and other alloying elements also. Okay, this is in this way we have discussed these four factors: temperature of aging, cold working on the of that supersaturated solid solution, then alloy composition, and impurities and homogeneity. So in this way we have discussed this. In this today's session we have discussed the what is the meaning of age hardening or precipitation hardening, then steps involved in the age hardening or precipitation hardening. In that we have discussed the three stages: heating or solutionizing, and then quenching, and the third stage is aging. Aging can be done in two ways: natural aging and artificial aging. and that artificial in the artificial aging process, the factors affecting the kinetics of aging process, four factors we have discussed: temperature of aging, then cold working done on the solid solutions, then alloy composition, and fourth is impurity and homogeneity. Now I will discuss one example, practical example of this age hardening or precipitation hardening. The practical example is a aluminium copper system. Okay, aluminium and copper system, the age hardening phenomenon in aluminium and copper system. Aluminium as a base metal and 4.5% copper as an alloying element. This system shows the age hardening or precipitation hardening. And now here, if you plot the aging curve, it will show the number of maximas. Okay, it does not shows only one maxima, it shows number of maximas, and that number of maximas are due to approximately three maximas will be there. Two maximas will be there due to GP1 and GP2, that is gynaear piston zone 1 and gynaear piston zone 2. Okay, this is the gynaear piston zone. This is due to separation of copper precipitates. Okay, separation of copper precipitates. And after that, the last or peak hardness, final peak hardness value is obtained due to formation of CuAl2 phase. Okay, CuAl2, this phase, intermediate phase, is due to heterogeneous precipitation. Okay, this is due to heterogeneous precipitation, that is CuAl2, and this CuAl2 is formed in two ways. One is coherent and another is incoherent. Okay, CuAl2 coherent and incoherent. When CuAl2 incoherent precipitate is formed, finally hardness of the aluminium and copper alloy decreases, and at that time you have to stop this aging process. Okay, or over aging may result in reduced hardness. So this is the practical example, that is AlCu system, aluminium and copper with 4.5% copper, remaining amount of aluminium, and copper and beryllium 1.5 to 2% beryllium. These two alloys shows the age hardening phenomenon or precipitation hardening phenomenon. That is, hardness increases at room temperature with time. Okay, if you are having any doubts or if you want any other session related to metallurgy subject, please let me know via chat box. Okay. Okay. Now, wait. I will show you that curve, copper aluminum system age hardening curve. I will show you that curve. Okay, if it is, you can see here clearly. This is the curve. This is due to the GP zone. First hand increased hardness, then the second increased hardness due to the heterogeneous precipitations of CuAl2, and finally it decreases. This is incoherent CuAl2. Okay, thank you for attending this session. I will stop here. You can continue.